close your eyes for a moment and imagine the very first cats. Not the soft house cats curled on our couches today, but their ancient ancestors. You see, cats were first domesticated nearly 10,000 years ago in the ancient Near East, in the region we now know as the Fertile Crescent. It was a time when humans were just beginning to settle, to farm, to store grain. And with stored grain came mice. And with mice came the cats. These early cats weren't quite like the ones we know today. They were drawn to human settlements not out of affection, but opportunity. The wild cats of that region, small and striped, discovered that where humans gathered, rodents thrived. And so began a relationship that would span millennia. What's fascinating is that unlike dogs, who were actively bred and trained by humans, cats essentially domesticated themselves. They chose us, in their own way, on their own terms. It's rather fitting that the independent spirit we love in cats today was there from the very beginning. If you've ever watched a cat move, you've witnessed something quite extraordinary. A cat's skeleton contains 230 bones, which is significantly more than the 206 bones in the human body. But it's not just the number of bones that makes cats so fluid and graceful. Their spines are incredibly flexible, held together by muscles rather than ligaments like ours. This is why a cat can twist midair, why they can squeeze through impossibly small spaces, why they move like liquid poured from one surface to another. One of the cat's most remarkable abilities is their righting reflex. You've probably heard that cats always land on their feet, and there's truth to this, though it's not quite magic. Cats possess this extraordinary ability, which develops when they're just 3 to 4 weeks old. When a cat falls, it instinctively rotates its body using its incredibly flexible spine, adjusting its position midair so that its feet point downward. Their inner ear, which controls balance, tells them which way is up, and their body responds with balletic precision. They don't always land perfectly, especially from very short distances where there isn't time to rotate, but this reflex has saved countless feline lives. Something even more surprising involves how cats handle falling. Studies have shown that cats actually have a better survival rate when falling from higher floors than from lower ones, up to a certain point. This seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? But when cats fall from greater heights, after the initial moments of panic, they spread their bodies out like flying squirrels, increasing air resistance and slowing their fall. This is called non-lethal terminal velocity. From shorter falls, they don't have time to adjust properly, landing with full impact. This reveals just how remarkably their bodies have adapted over millions of years of climbing, hunting, and living in trees. A cat's collarbone, unlike ours, is not connected to other bones. It's free-floating, attached only by muscle. This unique skeletal feature is what allows cats to squeeze through incredibly narrow spaces. If a cat can fit their head through an opening, they can usually fit their entire body through. Their shoulders can compress and rotate in ways ours cannot, allowing them to slip through gaps that seem impossibly small. When a cat walks, they don't walk as most four-legged animals do. They walk by moving both right feet, then both left feet. This is called pacing, and it's a gait shared by only a few other animals, camels and giraffes. Most four-legged animals move diagonal pairs of legs, but cats move both legs on the same side of their body together, creating that characteristic fluid, sinuous motion. It's one of the reasons cats move so gracefully, so quietly. Cats are digitigrade animals, which means their heels don't touch the ground when they walk. What looks like a cat's knee bending backward is actually their ankle. Their true knee is much higher up, hidden beneath their fur. This toe-walking posture makes them faster, more agile, and importantly, much quieter. When a cat stalks prey, they're placing one paw carefully in front of the other, their weight distributed across their toes, making almost no sound at all. A cat's heart beats nearly twice as fast as a human heart. While a human heart beats around 60 to 100 times per minute at rest, a cat's heart beats between 140 and 220 times per minute. This rapid heartbeat supports their metabolism, their quick reflexes, their ability to go from complete stillness to explosive motion in an instant. Every system in a cat's body is tuned for this kind of performance. The eyes of cats are truly extraordinary. Those luminous, mesmerizing eyes that seem to glow in the darkness have a special reflective layer behind their retinas called the tapetum lucidum, which means bright tapestry in Latin. This layer acts like a mirror, reflecting light back through the retina and giving the photoreceptor cells a second chance to capture it. This is what creates that eerie, beautiful glow when light hits a cat's eyes at night, and it's also why cats can see in light levels 6 times lower than what humans need. Cats don't see the world quite the way we do. While their night vision is superb, their color vision is more limited. Cats can see blues and greens quite well, but reds and pinks appear more greenish to them, and purples might look like another shade of blue. Their world is painted in cooler, more muted tones than ours. What they lack in color, however, they make up for in motion detection. A cat can spot the tiniest movement across a room, the slight twitch of a mouse's tail, the flutter of a bird's wing. Their eyes are designed not for appreciating a sunset's full spectrum, but for survival, for the hunt. In bright light, a cat's pupils narrow to thin vertical slits, but in darkness, they expand to become almost perfectly round, taking up nearly the entire visible eye. This dramatic change in pupil size allows cats to control the amount of light entering their eye with extraordinary precision. The vertical slit pupil can close down much more tightly than a round pupil, protecting the sensitive retina in bright conditions. But it can also open much wider, gathering every available photon in low light. While their night vision is superb, cats are actually nearsighted. They can't see distant objects as clearly as humans can. Their vision is optimized for distances of about 6 to 20 feet, the perfect range for stalking and pouncing on prey. Anything beyond 20 feet becomes increasingly blurry. But they have a wider field of view than humans, about 200 degrees compared to our 180 degrees, giving them excellent peripheral vision. Something quite remarkable happens in a cat's vision that defies explanation. Cats can see ultraviolet light, which is invisible to humans. This means they may be seeing patterns, movements, or reflections that we simply cannot perceive. They might be watching dust particles illuminated by UV light, seeing patterns in sunlight that we're blind to, or detecting the UV signatures of urine left by other animals. To a cat, the world contains an entire spectrum of visual information that's completely hidden from us. Cats have a structure in their eyes called a nictitating membrane, sometimes called a third eyelid. It's a translucent inner eyelid that moves horizontally across the eye from the corner nearest the nose. You might see it when your cat is just waking up or very relaxed, a thin whitish film partially covering the eye. This membrane serves several purposes. It protects the eye during hunting and fighting, distributes tears across the eye to keep it moist, and removes debris from the eye's surface. A cat's hearing is extraordinary. Cats can hear frequencies up to 64 kilohertz. To put that in perspective, humans can hear up to about 20 kilohertz, and dogs up to 45. This means cats can hear sounds that are completely inaudible to us, the ultrasonic squeaks of rodents communicating, the high-frequency sounds of prey moving through grass. Each of a cat's ears can rotate independently up to 180 degrees, controlled by 32 muscles. But what's truly remarkable is the speed and precision of this movement. A cat can pinpoint the location of a sound to within 3 inches from up to 3 feet away. They do this by detecting the tiny time difference between when a sound reaches one ear versus the other, sometimes just microseconds apart. Cats are most active during the twilight hours, at dawn and dusk, rather than throughout the entire night. This makes perfect sense when you consider their evolution as hunters. Dusk and dawn are when many small prey animals like rodents are most active, emerging to forage when there's still some light but also shadow for cover. The ancient rhythm in their bones calls them to these hours. When cats meow, they're almost always talking to humans, not to other cats. Adult cats rarely meow at each other. They communicate with other felines through scent, body language, and various other vocalizations like hissing, growling, or chirping. But the meow? That's a sound cats have developed specifically for us. It's thought that cats learned that meowing gets our attention, and over thousands of years living alongside humans, they've refined this skill. Some researchers even believe cats have adapted their meows to sound somewhat like human babies crying, because this frequency is particularly effective at getting humans to respond. Cats have a surprisingly complex vocal repertoire. Researchers have identified about 100 different vocalizations in cats, compared to only about 10 in dogs. Cats can chirp, chatter, yowl, growl, spit, wail, trill, and produce countless variations of the meow, each with slightly different meanings and contexts. Some of these sounds are specifically for communicating with humans, others are for other cats, and some might be expressions of internal states rather than deliberate communication. When cats are content and relaxed, they often make small chirping or trilling sounds, especially when greeting you or jumping up to a surface near you. These are not meows, but rather a softer, more musical sound. Mother cats use this trill to communicate with their kittens, and kittens respond to it. When an adult cat trills at you, they're using this mother-kitten communication, treating you as family. It's an intimate sound, one that cats typically reserve for those they trust and feel comfortable with. When cats hiss, they're not just making an angry noise. They're actually mimicking the sound of a snake. This is thought to be a form of acoustic mimicry, where cats have evolved to produce a sound that other animals instinctively find threatening. Snakes are dangerous to many animals, and the hissing sound triggers an innate wariness. When your cat hisses, they're borrowing the reputation of one of nature's most feared predators, hoping that the sound alone will be enough to make a threat back away. One of the most soothing sounds in the world is a cat's purr. That gentle, rhythmic vibration that seems to emanate from somewhere deep within them. Cats typically purr at a frequency between 25 and 150 Hz, and remarkably, this frequency range has been shown to promote healing. The vibrations may help with bone density, pain relief, and wound healing, not just for the cat, but potentially for the humans near them as well. Some researchers believe cats purr not only when content, but also when injured or stressed, as a form of self-healing. The exact mechanism of purring is still debated, but most scientists believe the purr comes from the rapid movement of the muscles in their larynx, opening and closing the space between the vocal cords very quickly, about 20 to 30 times per second. This happens during both inhaling and exhaling, creating that continuous, rumbling sound. Remarkably, cats of all sizes purr, from the tiniest house cat to certain larger wild cats like bobcats and cougars. But the biggest cats, lions, tigers, leopards, and jaguars, can't purr. They can roar instead, a trade-off in the structure of their voice box. Kittens start to purr when they're only a few days old. Even before they can see or hear, they can purr. This tiny vibration serves as communication between mother and kitten. The mother purrs to comfort and soothe her babies, and the kittens purr to let her know they're content, that they're nursing successfully, that all is well. When a cat slowly blinks at you, they're doing something quite special. In the language of cats, a slow blink is a sign of trust and affection. Cats are both predators and prey, and in the wild, closing your eyes around another creature is a vulnerable act. When a cat slowly blinks at you, they're saying, "I trust you. I feel safe with you." You can slow blink back at your cat, and they understand. It's a conversation across species, a moment of connection that transcends words. A cat's tail is like a mood ring, constantly broadcasting how they're feeling. When a cat holds their tail high with just a slight curve at the tip, they're feeling confident and friendly. A tail that's puffed up like a bottle brush means fear or aggression. The cat is trying to appear larger and more intimidating. A tail that's tucked between the legs signals fear or submission. A gently swishing tail usually means they're mildly annoyed or focused on something. But a tail that's thrashing back and forth rapidly? That cat is agitated, probably best to give them some space. A cat's ears convey an enormous amount of information about their emotional state. Ears forward and slightly to the side indicate a relaxed, content cat. Ears upright and forward show alertness and interest. Ears swivel to the side, often called airplane ears, suggest anxiety or irritation. Ears flattened back against the head signal fear or aggression, a cat preparing to defend themselves. Each ear tracks different sounds simultaneously, constantly monitoring the environment. When a cat rubs against your leg, or against furniture, or against doorways, they're doing more than showing affection. They're marking territory. Cats have scent glands located in several places on their body, on their cheeks, around their lips, on their forehead, under their chin, and at the base of their tail. When they rub against something, they're depositing their unique scent, essentially claiming that object or person as part of their territory. To a cat, your home is a landscape of scent markers, invisible to you but crystal clear to them. When a cat headbutts you, pressing their forehead against your hand, leg, or face, they're doing something called bunting. This isn't just a friendly gesture, it's one of the highest forms of affection and trust a cat can show. By pressing their head against you, they're marking you with the scent glands located on their forehead and cheeks. In the cat world, members of a family group share a common scent. When your cat bunts you, they're saying you're part of my family, we belong together. When two cats meet, they often touch noses in greeting. This nose-to-nose contact, called a nose kiss, is more than just a friendly gesture. It's an exchange of information. Cats are learning about each other through scent, gathering details about where the other cat has been, what they've eaten, their health status, their emotional state. It's a conversation in chemical signals, happening in the brief moment of contact. When a cat needs you with their paws, pushing in and out against your lap or chest, often with their claws extended, they're doing something they learned as kittens. Kittens need their mother's belly while nursing to stimulate milk flow. Adult cats continue this behavior when they're feeling content, safe, and affectionate. They're essentially reverting to kittenhood, to a time when they felt completely secure and cared for. If your cat needs you, they're giving you one of the highest compliments a cat can offer. When a cat rolls onto their back in front of you, exposing their belly, they're not always asking for belly rubs. This is a gesture of trust and playfulness. The cat is saying, I trust you enough to show my vulnerable side, but they're not necessarily inviting touch. It's similar to how humans might wave hello without expecting a hug. Some cats do enjoy belly rubs, of course, but many are simply sharing a moment of trust and asking to engage in play. When a cat sits in a window for hours, they're not bored. They're keeping watch. They're checking for intruders, monitoring what's happening in their domain. When a cat patrols through the house, walking from room to room, they're doing security rounds, checking that everything is as it should be. Cats sleep an average of 15 hours per day, and some cats, particularly kittens and older cats, can sleep up to 20 hours. This might seem excessive, but it makes perfect sense when you understand what cats are. They are predators, built for short, intense bursts of energy. Hunting requires tremendous explosive power, quick reflexes, lightning-fast sprints. This kind of activity is exhausting. Cats have evolved to conserve energy between hunts, resting and sleeping so they're ready when opportunity strikes. Much of a cat's sleep is actually light sleep, a sort of rest state where they're still somewhat aware of their surroundings. Watch a sleeping cat's ears, and you'll often see them twitching and rotating, still listening even while asleep. This light sleep allows them to rest while remaining alert to potential dangers or opportunities. Only about 15% of a cat's sleep is deep, REM sleep where they're truly unconscious and dreaming. Cats experience REM sleep and actually dream. Scientists have observed that cats experience this sleep stage, and during it, a cat's whiskers might twitch, their paws may move as if running, their tails may flick. What are they dreaming about? We can only imagine. Perhaps they're chasing mice through fields of grass, climbing ancient trees, or simply reliving the moment they knocked that glass off the counter. Cats have that remarkable ability to fall asleep almost instantly. They can go from fully alert to deeply asleep in moments. It's a survival adaptation from their wild ancestors, who needed to be ready to flee from predators or chase prey at a moment's notice. Even the safest, most pampered house cat still sleeps like their wild cousins, one ear always listening. Cats are masters of the power nap. They can fall asleep within minutes, rest for 15 or 20 minutes, and wake up refreshed and alert. This polyphasic sleep pattern allows them to rest while remaining alert to opportunities or dangers. Even though domestic cats are relatively safe from predators, they still prefer sleeping in elevated locations or enclosed spaces. This preference comes from their ancestors, for whom sleeping in trees or caves provided protection from larger predators. A cat sleeping on top of a refrigerator, bookshelf, or cat tree isn't being difficult. They're following an ancient instinct that says height equals safety. Similarly, cats who sleep in boxes, under beds, or in closets are satisfying the same instinct for enclosed, protected sleeping spaces. When a cat curls up into a tight ball, tucking their paws underneath and wrapping their tail around themselves, they're doing more than just getting comfortable. This position conserves body heat and protects their vulnerable organs. It's a defensive sleeping position that cats use when they don't feel completely secure. But when a cat sleeps stretched out on their back, belly exposed, they're in deep sleep and they feel completely safe. The belly is a cat's most vulnerable area, where their vital organs are least protected. A cat's sense of smell is approximately 14 times stronger than a human's. They have around 200 million scent receptors in their nasal cavity, compared to our 5 million. When you open a can of food, your cat doesn't just smell food, they smell every ingredient, every chemical compound, information about freshness, temperature, countless details that are completely invisible to your nose. Cats have a special organ that we humans don't possess. It's called the vomeronasal organ, or Jacobson's organ, and it's located on the roof of their mouth, just behind their front teeth. When you see a cat sniffing something intently and then opening their mouth slightly, appearing to grimace or gape, that's called the flamen response. The cat is drawing air into this organ, analyzing chemical signals, pheromones, scents that tell them about other cats, about territory, about the world in ways we can barely imagine. Cats lack the ability to taste sweetness. They don't have functional sweet taste receptors on their tongues. This makes them unique among mammals. While dogs, humans, and most other mammals can taste and enjoy sweet flavors, to a cat, sugar is just tasteless. This makes evolutionary sense for an obligate carnivore. Meat isn't sweet, so there was no evolutionary pressure to maintain this ability. This is why cats aren't interested in candy, cake, or fruit. What they can taste incredibly well is the savory, rich flavor of meat. Cats have relatively few taste buds compared to other mammals. Humans have about 9,000 taste buds, dogs have about 1,700, but cats have only about 470. This relates to their role as obligate carnivores. They don't need to distinguish between many different flavors because their diet is primarily meat. Their taste receptors are tuned precisely to detect what matters most for their survival. When a cat drinks water, they don't scoop it up like dogs do. Instead, they barely touch the surface of the water with the tip of their tongue, then quickly pull it back. This creates a column of water that rises up, and the cat closes their mouth around this column before gravity pulls it back down. High-speed cameras have captured this process, showing that cats drink by creating and capturing these tiny water columns at a rate of about 4 laps per second. It's a perfect balance of timing, surface tension, and gravity. A cat's whiskers, those long, elegant hairs extending from their face, are not just decorative. They're sophisticated sensory organs called vibrissae. Each whisker is embedded 3 times deeper than regular fur, and the follicle is packed with nerve endings and blood vessels. Cats typically have 24 whiskers, 12 on each side of their nose, arranged in 4 rows. But they also have whiskers above their eyes, on their chin, and even on the backs of their front legs. These whiskers are so sensitive they can detect the slightest changes in air currents. When a cat walks through a room in complete darkness, their whiskers sense the air owing around objects, essentially creating a map of their surroundings without seeing anything at all. The whiskers are also precisely the width of a cat's body at their widest point. This means a cat can use their whiskers to determine whether they can't through an opening. If the whiskers tee, the body will tee. It's nature's own measuring tape, built right into their face. The leg whiskers, called carpal whiskers, help cats judge distances and navigate when climbing. They're particularly useful when a cat is climbing down from somewhere, helping them feel where to place their paws. All of these whiskers together create a three-dimensional sensory map of the cat's immediate environment. When a cat moves through darkness or through dense vegetation, they're feeling their way with dozens of sensitive whiskers, each one sending information to their brain. You should never, ever trim a cat's whiskers. Without them, cats become disoriented, anxious, unable to navigate their world with confidence. That sandpaper feeling when a cat licks your hand comes from a remarkable design. A cat's tongue is covered with tiny, backward-facing barbs called papillae. These aren't just rough patches, they're actually hook-shaped structures made of keratin, the same material as our gernails. Under a microscope, a cat's tongue looks like a ELD of tiny curved spines, all pointing toward the back of the throat. This remarkable design serves multiple purposes. When a cat grooms itself, these barbs act like a comb, detangling fur, removing loose hair and dirt, spreading natural oils across the coat. When a cat eats, these barbs help strip meat from bones, holding food in place as they consume it. Grooming is deeply important to cats. Cats spend nearly a third of their waking hours grooming themselves. That's a significant portion of their day dedicated to cleanliness. But grooming isn't just about staying clean. Cats don't sweat the way humans do. They have some sweat glands in their paw pads, but not enough to cool their entire body. When a cat licks its fur, the saliva evaporates and helps cool them down, like a built-in air conditioning system. Grooming also reduces stress and anxiety. The repetitive motion, the familiar sensation, it's calming for cats. When cats who live together groom each other, a behavior called allogrooming, they're doing more than just helping each other clean hard-to-reach spots. Allogrooming is a social bonding ritual. It strengthens relationships, reduces tension, and reinforces social hierarchies. When a cat wiggles their rear end before pouncing, they're doing something quite purposeful. This little wiggle isn't just adorable, it's functional. The cat is testing their footing, making sure their back legs have solid purchase before they launch into their attack. They're also tuning their aim, making micro adjustments to ensure their pounce will land exactly where they intend. And there's another element, they're compressing their powerful hind leg muscles, building up potential energy like a spring being coiled. You may have seen a cat chattering at a bird through the window. That strange, rapid, clicking sound, almost like teeth chattering. Scientists aren't entirely certain why cats do this, but there are several theories. Some believe it's a frustrated hunting behavior, the cat preparing for the killing bite, the precise bite to the back of the prey's neck that severs the spine, but they can't reach the bird, so the behavior comes out in this odd, abbreviated form. Others think it might be an imitation of bird calls, a way to lure prey closer. Cats can jump up to 6 times their body length in a single leap. For a human, that would be like jumping across a basketball court in one bound. This incredible jumping ability comes from their powerful hind leg muscles, which act like coiled springs. When a cat crouches before a jump, they're compressing those muscles, storing energy, and then releasing it all at once in an explosive movement. Cats have an incredibly sophisticated vestibular system, the part of the inner ear that controls balance and spatial orientation. This system is so refined that cats can walk along the narrowest surfaces, leap between precise points, and land with extraordinary accuracy. They know exactly where their body is in space at all times, and they can make split-second adjustments to maintain balance. Despite their small size, domestic cats are remarkably effective hunters. Studies have shown that house cats, even well-fed ones, kill billions of birds and small mammals every year worldwide. A single outdoor cat can kill dozens or even hundreds of animals annually. This isn't cruelty, it's instinct. Cats hunt not because they're hungry, but because they're cats. The drive to stalk, to pounce, to capture, it's wired into their very being. Cats don't always eat what they catch. The hunting drive and the eating drive are actually separate instincts. A well-fed cat will still hunt because the urge to stalk, chase, and capture is independent of hunger. The behavior itself is rewarding to them, triggering the release of dopamine in their brain. Hunting is play, practice, instinct, and satisfaction all rolled into one. It's not about the meal, it's about the chase. When a cat brings you dead mice, birds, or other small creatures, from the cat's perspective, this is an act of profound significance. Mother cats bring prey to their kittens to teach them how to hunt. By bringing you these gifts, your cat may be treating you like family, like a kitten who needs to learn. Or perhaps they're sharing their successful hunt with a member of their social group. Whatever the reason, it comes from a place of instinct and, in their way, care. Cats can retract their claws, which is relatively rare among animals. Dogs, for example, cannot retract their claws. When a cat's claws are retracted, they're protected inside sheaths of skin and fur, staying sharp because they're not constantly scraping against the ground. When a cat needs their claws for climbing, hunting, or defense, muscles and tendons pull the claw forward and out. This retraction system keeps the claws sharp and also allows cats to walk silently. There's no click 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 of claws on hard surfaces like you hear with dogs. This retraction and the ability to choose when to deploy their weapons, keeping them hidden and sharp until needed, gives cats a significant advantage as predators. Cats need to scratch, and this is an optional behavior. Scratching serves multiple essential purposes. First, it helps them shed the outer layer of their claws, revealing the sharp new claw underneath. Claws grow in layers, like an onion, and scratching helps remove the old, dull outer sheath. Second, scratching stretches their muscles, particularly in their shoulders, back, and legs. Third, scratching marks territory. Cats have scent glands in their paw pads, and every scratch leaves both a visual mark and an invisible scent mark. A cat's paw pads are packed with nerve receptors that can detect even the smallest vibrations. This is how a cat can feel the movement of prey underground or beneath debris. In addition to detecting vibrations, those paw pads can sense temperature differences in surfaces. This is one reason cats seek out warm spots so effectively. They're not just looking, they're feeling with their feet. A cat's spine has more vertebrae than ours. While humans have 33 vertebrae, cats have 53. These extra vertebrae, combined with the elastic cushioning discs between them, give cats incredible flexibility. This is why a cat can turn around in incredibly tight spaces, why they can arch their backs so dramatically when stretching or frightened, why they can curl into those impossibly tight sleeping positions. Cats are obligate carnivores, meaning they must eat meat to survive. Unlike dogs, who are omnivores and can theoretically survive on a vegetarian diet, cats cannot. They require certain nutrients that are only found in animal tissue, particularly taurine, an amino acid that's essential for their heart health, vision, and reproduction. Without taurine, cats develop serious health problems. Cats require a source of vitamin A in their diet because, unlike many other animals, they cannot convert beta-carotene from plants into vitamin A. They must get preformed vitamin A from animal tissues. Similarly, cats need arachidonic acid, an omega-6 fatty acid found in animal fat, because they can't synthesize it from plant oils. Cats often prefer their food at room temperature, and there's a very good reason for this. In the wild, a cat's prey would be warm, at body temperature. Cold food, straight from the refrigerator, doesn't smell as strongly and may even register to the cat as potentially spoiled or dead for too long. Warm food releases more aromatic compounds, making it more appealing to a cat's sensitive nose. All domestic cats, no matter how different they look from one another, share a common ancestor, the African wildcat, Felis sylvestris libica. Whether you're looking at a massive Maine Coon or a tiny Singapura, a hairless SPHYNX or AUI Persian, they all descended from this one small wildcat species that still lives in Africa, the Middle East, and parts of Asia today. It's extraordinary when you think about it. All the diversity we see in domestic cats emerged in just 10,000 years from this single species. Female cats can carry kittens from multiple fathers in the same litter. This is called superfecundation. If a female cat mates with multiple males during her fertile period, the eggs from different mating sessions can be fertilized by different fathers. This is why a single litter of kittens might look dramatically different from one another. Each kitten could potentially have a different father. In the wild, this actually increases genetic diversity and gives the litter better chances of survival. Cat fur is more complex than it appears. Most cats have 3 different types of fur. There's the outer layer of guard hairs, which are the longest and provide protection from the elements. Beneath that is a layer of on hairs, which provide insulation. And closest to the skin is the soft, downy undercoat, which traps heat. Some cats, like Siamese, have very little undercoat, which is why they feel so sleek and silky. Other cats, like Maine Coons or Norwegian forest cats, have thick undercoats that make them UI and able to withstand cold climates. When a cat sheds, they're primarily losing undercoat. You've probably heard that 1 cat year equals 7 human years, but that's not quite accurate. Cats age much more rapidly in their first 2 years of life. A 1-year-old cat is roughly equivalent to a 15-year-old human, having gone through kittenhood and into adolescence. By age 2, a cat is approximately 24 in human years, essentially a young adult. After that, each cat year is roughly equivalent to 4 human years. So a 10-year-old cat is about FTY6 in human years, not 70. As cats enter their senior years, typically around age 11 or 12, they often become more affectionate and seek out human company more than they did when younger. There are several theories about why this happens. Perhaps older cats feel more vulnerable and seek the security of their human's presence. Perhaps reduced energy levels make the quiet companionship more appealing. Or perhaps the bond has simply deepened to the point where proximity becomes increasingly important. Kittens are born blind and deaf. Their eyes are sealed shut, their ear canals are closed. For the first week or so of life, they navigate the world entirely through touch, warmth, and smell. Their eyes typically begin to open around 7 to 10 days after birth, though they won't have full vision for several more weeks. Their ear canals open around the same time. Watching a kitten's world gradually come into focus is like witnessing a slow sunrise. Just as humans have unique fingerprints, every cat has a unique nose print. The pattern of ridges and bumps on a cat's nose is completely distinct, no two are exactly alike. It's a reminder that each cat is an individual, unrepeatable, a singular presence in the world. Cats can recognize their own names. Research has shown that cats can distinguish their names from other random words, even when spoken by strangers. In multi-cat households, cats can distinguish their own name from the names of the other cats they live with. They know which sound refers to them specifically. This doesn't mean they'll always respond, of course. They've simply decided whether or not responding is worth their time. Cats have excellent long-term memory, particularly for things that are important to them. They can remember locations, people, other animals, and experiences for many years. Their memory is particularly strong for spatial information, remembering the layout of their territory, where resources are located, and the best routes between places. Cats understand the principle of cause and effect and can learn through observation. Studies have shown that cats can learn to open doors, drawers, and even puzzle boxes by watching other cats or humans do it first. They don't just memorize actions, they understand that their actions have consequences. Research has shown that cats recognize their owner's voice and can distinguish it from the voices of strangers. Even though they recognize their owner's voice, cats often choose not to respond. This isn't because they don't care. It's because cats weren't bred to be obedient. They're independent creatures who make their own decisions about when to engage. Cats have a brain structure called the cerebral cortex, which is responsible for processing information, making decisions, and storing memories. The surface folding of a cat's cerebral cortex is remarkably similar to a human's, more so than a dog's brain. A cat's brain contains about 300 million neurons, compared to a dog's 160 million. There's a lot going on inside a cat's head, far more than we might give them credit for. Unlike dogs, who are pack animals and naturally look to a leader, cats are solitary hunters by nature. In the wild, most cats don't live in social groups. They hunt alone, sleep alone, and claim individual territories. This solitary nature is why cats can seem aloof or uninterested in pleasing humans. They haven't been shaped by evolution to work as part of a team. They're wired to be self-sufficient, to make their own decisions, to rely primarily on themselves. When a cat chooses to spend time with you, it's because they genuinely want to. Feral cat colonies often develop complex social structures with hierarchies, territories, and even cooperation in raising kittens. Female cats in colonies sometimes act as communal mothers, nursing and caring for kittens that aren't their own. Even domestic cats who live together often form social bonds, sleeping together, grooming each other, and showing clear preferences for certain companions. In ancient Egypt, cats weren't just pets, they were revered, considered sacred. The ancient Egyptians worshipped a cat goddess named Batet, who represented protection, fertility, and motherhood. Killing a cat, even accidentally, could result in the death penalty. When a family cat died, the household would go into mourning, shaving their eyebrows as a sign of grief. Cats were mummied, just like humans, so they could journey into the afterlife. Archaeologists have found entire cemeteries dedicated to cats, containing hundreds of thousands of mummied felines. Cats have been aboard ships for centuries, serving as pest control to protect food stores from rats and mice. Sailors considered cats good luck, and many ships had docile ship's cats. These seafaring felines traveled the world, and this is part of how cats spread to every continent except Antarctica. Some of these ship cats became quite famous. There's Trim, who circumnavigated Australia in the early 1800s. There was Oscar, who survived the sinking of 3 different warships during World War II. In Japan, the Maneki Niko or beckoning cat is a common talisman believed to bring good luck and fortune. The raised right paw is said to attract money and prosperity, while the raised left paw attracts customers and visitors. These lucky cats appear in businesses, homes, and temples throughout Japan. Cats appear in the folklore and mythology of cultures everywhere. Throughout human history, across continents and centuries, cats have been woven into our stories, our beliefs, our hopes. Cats have an ability called sight-trailing, an unexplained capability to find their way home across unfamiliar territory, sometimes over hundreds of miles. There are documented cases of cats who have traveled incredible distances to return to their homes or to find their families who had moved. Scientists aren't entirely sure how cats do this. They may use a combination of their excellent memory, the Earth's magnetic ELD, the position of the sun, scent trails, and perhaps senses we don't fully understand yet. Cats are extremely sensitive to changes in barometric pressure. Many cat owners report that their cats behave strangely before storms, becoming anxious or seeking shelter even before the first signs of bad weather appear. Cats can feel the pressure changes that precede storms. In earthquake-prone regions, there are reports of cats acting strangely in the hours or even days before an earthquake. Cats have a home range, a territory they consider theirs, and they feel responsible for monitoring and protecting it. Cats feel comforted by predictability. Disruptions to routine can cause stress and anxiety. In the wild, routine meant safety. Your cat's insistence on dinner at exactly 6 o'clock? That's millions of years of evolution asking for the comfort of predictability. Cats can survive in an enormous range of temperatures. Their normal body temperature is slightly higher than humans, ranging from about 100.5 to 102.5 degrees Fahrenheit. In cold weather, cats hew up their fur to trap more air and insulate themselves, curl into tight balls to conserve heat, and seek warm spots. In hot weather, they stretch out to expose more surface area, breathe more rapidly, and become less active during the hottest parts of the day. The domestic cat is one of the most successful species on Earth in terms of population. There are estimated to be over 600 million domestic cats worldwide, living everywhere humans live except the most extreme environments. Part of their success is their ability to survive on their own if necessary. A cat who becomes separated from their home can often hunt and survive as a feral cat. Unlike their relationship with most other animals, cats have developed a special form of communication specifically for humans. Beyond meowing, cats have learned to modify their behavior to better interact with us. They've adapted to our schedules, learned to anticipate our routines, and even adjusted their activity patterns to match ours more closely than their natural rhythm would dictate. The relationship has persisted and deepened because it benefits both species. Humans get companionship, pest control, and the pleasure of living with these graceful, mysterious creatures. Cats get safety, reliable food, shelter, and action. It's a partnership. Cats chose to live near humans, and humans chose to welcome them. Neither domesticated the other in the traditional sense. Instead, 2 species found that life was better together than apart, and this mutual decision has shaped both of our histories. Cats can mourn the loss of companions, both feline and human. When a bonded cat or person dies, cats may search for them, cry out, lose their appetite, or become withdrawn. Some cats will sit by the door waiting for their companion to return, or sleep in that person's favorite chair. Cats understand loss in their own way. In their quiet, dignified way, cats know love, and they know loss. Every cat is an individual. Despite all these facts, all this knowledge about cat behavior, biology, and history, each cat you meet will be unique. They'll have their own personality, their own quirks, their own way of communicating and connecting. Some will be bold, others timid. Some will be talkative, others quiet. Some will seek constant affection, others will be more reserved. The facts we've explored are the foundation, the shared traits that make a cat a cat. But on top of that foundation, each individual builds their own character, shaped by genetics, experience, and that ineffable something we might call personality or soul. The cat beside you right now is unlike any cat that has ever lived or will ever live again. They are singular, unrepeatable, wholly themselves. And so we come to rest, having traveled through the world of cats, from their ancient origins to their modern place in our homes and hearts. May you dream of whiskers and purrs, of graceful leaps and gentle headbutts, of all the ways these remarkable creatures have woven themselves into the fabric of our lives. Sleep well, and may you wake with a deeper appreciation for the mysterious, magnificent cats who share our world.